So without further ado, I'd like to start this day off by introducing you to Kate Charlebois. Kate is here to tell a story about the long-standing Charlebois tradition of harvesting ice at their summer place out on Black Sturgeon Lake. So I'm not sure if many of you are members of the property owners, but I was asking her about an article that appeared that was written by a neighbor of theirs who documented the ice harvest. And for those of you that are in the room that are Kenora folk, you're gonna wanna connect her to her people. So do I see her people? Oh, look she's well represented here. Her people are Rick and Jen. Rick and Jen, are you here? Yeah. And so they're here to boo and cheer and check her facts, I think is what's gonna happen. So without further ado, let's bring Kate up to tell her story about the ice harvest.
Testing? Okay, we're good. It's January 28th, 2024 at 11 a.m. The sun is shining on the beautiful frozen Black Sturgeon Lake as I watch my father's chainsaw cutting through the ice like butter. Cold water casts an icy spray onto all who stand too close. Behind me, I hear the sound of ice sliding up a metal ramp, a quad engine revving, and kiddie snow machines zipping by. Laughter, and the occasional yell from Uncle Howard saying, "Stop the quad!" What a beautiful day. These are the sights and sounds of an ice harvest with the loud, loving, and hardworking bunch known as the Charlebois family and friends. Ice harvesting used to be a major industry in the Kenora area and was practiced commercially and by many families. Before the game-changing invention of refrigerators, ice was needed year-round for residential and commercial ice boxes, to pack fish, and even to provide air conditioning on railway passenger cars. Few still practice the tradition of ice harvesting in Kenora. One of the few is the Charlebois family, a tradition that has been passed down for 3 generations already, with the 4th and 5th currently taking part and learning the ropes. I am part of the 4th generation. It all started on February 28th, 1941, when my great-grandfather, Emil Charlebois, purchased the 100-plus acre property for a grand total of $90. Originally, the property was used as a tourist camp. Emil needed to have ice year-round for his guests, and thus an ice house was built, and the tradition began. Eventually, the property transitioned to a family camp, but ice was still needed to keep each cabin's ice box full and drinks cold throughout the year. This is the ice box that we still have at camp today. Time passed, and Emil's son, my grandpa Gabe, took over as the one to lead the ice harvest each year, along with longtime neighbors and friends, the Lockers and Lacombe family. Emil continued to be part of the harvest until late in his life. He passed away in 1976. Gabe and his wife, Jean, had 7 children: Peggy, Dennis, Sandra, Rick, Bev, Gilbert, and Glenn. Rick is my dad. The children grew up taking part in the ice harvest in any way that they could. Whether it was helping shovel sawdust or helping prepare lunch, everyone had their part. After the first block was removed, Gabe would look at the children and give his one serious warning: stay out of that hole. And then go back into work mode and continue cutting ice. Eventually, the 7 children and their families started to lead the ice harvest, but Grandpa Gabe had a major role in the harvest until he passed at the age of 79 in 2007. You can see Gabe with the ice tongs there. That's in 1997. Times have changed, and there's been a few equipment upgrades over the years, but overall, the process remains the same. The work starts a day or 2 before the harvest. Any leftover ice from the previous year must be removed from the ice house. There needs to be a packed and leveled layer of damp sawdust on the floor of the ice house. This will freeze and form a hard layer of insulation. The rest of the sawdust is shoveled over the partition so that it is cleared from where the new ice blocks will go. Another part of the prep is clearing the ice where you will be cutting it. Clearing it reduces the slush on the ice block, and it also can help more ice form and therefore have thicker blocks. The ice blocks are all pre-measured and scored into the ice. Each block is 16 inches wide by 32 inches long. A long piece of wood can be used to keep lines straight. The thickness depends on the year, but ideally is 12 to 16 inches thick. Now we are ready for ice harvest day. Cutting ice. There are 3 main stations at our ice harvest. The ice block cutting station. You can see the cutting there. The ramp pulley station, and inside the ice house station. Everything starts at the ice block cutting station. We use a special 36-inch chainsaw with an oversized engine and all of the oil removed. The cold water acts as a lubricant for the chainsaw. Using the pre-done score marks on the ice, the powerful chainsaw cuts through the ice smoothly. Rick or Gilbert are usually on the chainsaw. We cut 4 blocks at a time, which will be 1 row in the ice house. In modern times, the worst part is the constant spray of cold water, but that is nothing compared to cutting the ice with a handsaw, which they did for decades. After the 4 blocks are cut, there is someone who is in charge of ensuring that the blocks come out in the exact same order that they were cut. This is an important role because if the blocks don't come out in the right order, there will be gaps between the blocks in the ice house. These gaps will allow air in between the blocks and ultimately cause them to melt. 1 block at a time is guided over to the folks with the ice tongs. In this photo, you can see my Uncle Dennis with the pike pole to guide the ice blocks. This year, my husband Nick and I were on ice tongs duty. You can see us here. We jam the ice tongs around the ice block to ensure a strong hold. Then we count to 3 and pull the 200-plus pound of block of ice out of the water. The ice lip where we pull the blocks out has been cut on an angle. That way, we have a little ramp so that the block slides more easy out of the water. Once the block is successfully pulled out, we slide the block over to the ice house ramp and make sure they are all lined up in the correct order. You can see them lined up there. Uncle Glenn is often there at the bottom of the ramp. A harness is put on the block, and the harness is connected to a rope that runs through a pulley system in the ice house and onto the quad or the snow machine. As the quad is driven forward, folks help guide the ice block up the metal ramp. This is the point where Uncle Howard usually stands at the entrance of the ice house and yells, "Slower," or "Stop." And in this photo, you can see 2 different angles of the block going in and then the perspective from the ice house of the block coming up. Once the block has stopped at the ice house entrance, we remove the harness from the ice block and slide the block into its correct spot in the ice house. Folks in the ice house make sure that the blocks are properly insulated. If there are any cracks or chips on the blocks, we pack snow in them so that there are no air pockets. Then we shovel and pack sawdust around the perimeter of each layer of ice blocks. You can see them shoveling this sawdust here. Each layer goes into the ice house, and the ramp into the ice house needs to be raised higher. 4 to 6 people will stand on the sides of the ramp and lift. Folks then stack a wood board at the entrance of the ice house, and then everyone lowers the ramp back down onto the boards. Now the ramp will be the perfect height for the next layer of ice blocks to slide into. So you can see here that in the photo on the left, it's at a lower level, And then the photo on the right, you can see the chunks of wood that have been raised so that it's able to slide right in onto the top. The whole process is repeated, usually for 4 layers. Once all of the ice blocks are into the house, the ramp is taken down and it's time to shovel sawdust. There needs to be packed sawdust all around the sides, and 2 feet of packed sawdust goes on top. This is the point where people start to drift off, to chat, to have a snack, or maybe a drink. Or maybe because no one likes shoveling sawdust. Shoveling sawdust seems like the easy part, but it can be deceiving. Once full, the ice house is very cramped, and constantly shoveling and packing sawdust is sweaty work. Shorter folks tend to get voluntold for this job, sorry Aunt Bev, and younger kids can help out here too. Once the sawdust is packed, the ice house is done, but the day is not over. It's what my dad refers to as the most important step, quality control. A couple extra blocks are cut and pulled out, and then precisely cut with the chainsaw into beautiful large ice cubes. This is my dad this year cutting the ice cubes. Everyone cleans up and marks the large hole in the ice so that snow machines don't go near it. They gather at Sandra and Howard's cabin for a warm meal such as chili. Folks put a cube in their cup with the beverage of their choice and enjoy the fruits of their labor, a cold drink with the best tasting clear ice cube in their cup. We are always grateful for all of the volunteers, old and new friends, who come out each year to learn and lend a helping hand. Therefore, we always send them home with a big bag of ice as a thanks for all of their hard work. The greatest part of this tradition isn't the crystal clear ice cubes. The greatest part is that it is one day of the year that brings our family, new and old friends, and our community together. Life gets busy, and we don't always see each other as often as we used to. But on Ice Day, everyone does their best to make it if they can. And in this photo, you can see my Grandma Gwen in there, and she's from Alberta, and even she likes coming out for Ice Day when she can. Additionally, Ice Day is a unique opportunity for a multi-generation activity for everyone to do together. You've got the seasoned harvesters, like my dad, the ones still learning, like myself, and even the kids who have fun zipping around on their snow machines to help shovel sawdust. It is interesting to think that although I never got to meet Emil Charlebois, we share this tradition. And there are family members who are no longer with us, but we have these amazing memories on Ice Days to reminisce about years past. You get to connect with people and be part of something bigger than yourself. So when it's 30 degrees Celsius in July, you go to the ice house, open the door, and look for the shovel. The shovel marks where the last person got their ice. You shovel away the sawdust, use an ice pick to chip away big chunks. You cover the block back up with sawdust and rest the shovel there so that the next person knows where to dig. The ice chunks are rinsed clean in the lake and then placed in your cooler. Back at your cabin or RV, you chip away some cubes, put them in your glass, and you pour a Pepsi. You sit in the summer heat and enjoy your cold drink, remembering all the folks throughout the years that helped get that cube into your glass. Thank you.